History was never about memorization. In an age where AI can look up anything instantly, what truly matters is the ability to ask, why? This channel takes you through Japanese history by understanding cause and effect, together with AI. Turning knowledge into a tool for thinking. That's the new way to learn, in the age of AI. Welcome. If you've ever been curious about Japan, its history, its culture, why it developed the way it did, you've probably run into the same wall that most learners hit. You watch a documentary, you read a book, you memorize a list of events, dates, emperors, shoguns. And then someone asks you, why did feudalism last so long in Japan? Or, why did Japan isolate itself for 250 years, and then suddenly open up? And you realize, you don't actually know. You have the facts, but you don't have the logic behind them. That's exactly why this channel exists. I'm Mimi, the owl and navigator of this program, and this is why. Understanding Japanese History, a channel dedicated to one core idea, that history is not a list of things that happened. It is a system of cause and effect. Over 100 episodes, across 10 chapters, we are going to travel from prehistoric Japan all the way to contemporary society, and at every step, we're going to ask that one powerful question: why? This is the philosophical heart of the channel. Deliver the core contrast, memorization versus understanding. Most history education, in Japan, in America, anywhere, defaults to the same approach. Memorize the names, memorize the dates, memorize the events. In 1600, the Battle of Sekigahara took place. Tokugawa Ieyasu won. This began the Edo period. Okay, but so what? Why did it happen? Why at that moment? Why did it matter? When you just memorize, you're collecting puzzle pieces, but you never see the picture. This channel's core mission is to shift that. We want to move you, and everyone watching, from passive memorization to active causal analysis. From what happened to why it had to happen. And importantly, we're doing this in English. Because the global audience deserves access to Japanese history, told not as a list of exotic names, but as a living, logical system that connects to the world we all live in today. So let's name the 3 problems directly. First, fragmented facts. Traditional history teaching hands you isolated data points. Emperor X ruled in year Y, Battle Z took place in region W. These facts don't connect to each other. It's like being given all the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle but never seeing the box. You have no idea what the finished picture is supposed to look like. Second, lack of causality. We learn what happened, rarely why, and without causality, without understanding what pressures, incentives, and structures drove each event, history becomes just a sequence of things. Not a logic, not a system, not something you can use. Third, passive learning, one-way lectures, one-way reading, no questions, no debate, no thinking out loud. Critical thinking, the habit of asking, but wait, why? Is simply not built into most history education. The result, students memorize for the exam and then forget. Or they say something like this: I memorized all the dates and names, but I can't answer the why questions on the test. Sound familiar? That's the problem we're solving. So what's the solution? Here it is, the why thinking cycle. 4 steps. Every single episode follows this structure. Step 1, observation of facts. We start with what happened. Who were the key people? What was the historical context? We're not skipping the facts, we're using them as raw material. Step 2, analysis of factors. Here's where it gets interesting. We ask, what caused this? What were the political pressures, the economic incentives, the social forces? Who had something to gain? Who had something to lose? Step 3, abstraction of structure. Once we've analyzed the causes, we step back and ask, is there a universal pattern here? Can we name the underlying structure of what happened, in a way that could apply to other times, other places, other situations? And step 4, application to the modern world. Because history isn't just the past. The same patterns repeat. The same structures appear in modern politics, in business, in international relations. In this step, we connect the historical lesson to the world we actually live in. These 4 steps, observe, analyze, abstract, apply, are the engine of every episode on this channel. Let me show you exactly how this works with a real example. Episode 50 of this channel, the Battle of Sekigahara, 1600. Here's the why question for that episode. Why did the Battle of Sekigahara determine Japan's political structure for the next 260 years? Let's trace the causal chain. In 1598, Japan's most powerful ruler, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, died. Suddenly, a power vacuum appeared. And in the absence of a clear successor, the most powerful warlords in Japan split into two camps, the Eastern Army and the Western Army. This tension couldn't hold forever. In 1600, they met at a place called Sekigahara. And in a single day, a single battle, the future of Japan was decided. Tokugawa Ieyasu's Eastern Army won. That victory didn't just settle a military dispute. It handed Tokugawa Ieyasu the legitimacy to establish a new system of government, what we call the Edo shogunate, that would govern Japan for the next 260 years. One battle, one day, 260 years of consequences. That's how cause and effect works in history. And that's the kind of connection we make in every episode. Now here's where the why method becomes really powerful. Once we've traced the causal chain in Sekigahara, we abstract it into a universal pattern: power vacuum, right pointing arrow, collapse of alliances, right pointing arrow, decisive conflict, right pointing arrow, establishment of new order. Does that structure look familiar? It should, because it's not just Japanese history. Think about the end of World War II. A global power vacuum, collapsing alliances, a decisive confrontation, the Cold War, that restructured the entire world order for 50 years. Think about the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. A power vacuum, political alliances fracturing, a new order established almost overnight. Or think about large corporations when a founder or CEO suddenly departs. Power vacuum, competing factions, a decisive internal conflict, a new leadership order emerges. Japanese history is not exotic. It is not remote. It is a lens for understanding how power works, in any time, in any place. That's what this channel will teach you. Now let me show you the full scope of what we're building together. 100 episodes, 10 chapters, one complete journey through Japanese history. We begin in Chapter 1 with prehistoric Japan, the Jomon and Yayoi periods, the emergence of agriculture, the first signs of social stratification. Then Chapter 2, the formation of the ancient state, how and why Japan developed centralized government. Chapter 3 takes us into the Ritsuryo system and Heian culture, Japan's golden age of aristocratic civilization. Chapter 4, the rise of the warrior class, why the samurai emerged, and what it meant for Japanese society. Chapter 5 is one of the most dramatic, from chaos to unification, the Sengoku period, when Japan was torn apart by civil war and then, improbably, united. Chapter 6, the long peace of the Edo period, and the slow structural changes happening beneath the surface. Chapter 7, the end of isolation, why Japan suddenly opened to the West after 250 years. Chapter 8, building modern Japan, the Meiji Restoration and Japan's extraordinary transformation into an industrial power. Chapter 9 is the hardest, the road to war and defeat, how modern democracy slid toward militarism and catastrophe. And Chapter 10, recovery and contemporary Japan, how a defeated nation rebuilt itself, and where Japan stands in the world today. Every chapter, every episode, the same question driving us forward: why? Now, here's what makes this channel different from anything else out there. We don't just want you to watch, we want you to think. And in 2025, we have a remarkable tool for that: AI. Every single episode on this channel comes with a dedicated AI learning feature. Here's how it works. First, prompt-based learning. At the end of each episode, I give you a custom AI prompt, specifically designed for that episode's topic. You take that prompt to Claude, or ChatGPT, or any AI tool, and you use it to go deeper. To ask follow-up questions. To test your understanding. Second, historical reasoning. This is counterfactual thinking, one of the most powerful tools in historical analysis. You ask, what if X hadn't happened? For example, what if Hideyoshi had lived for another 10 years? What if the Western Army had won at Sekigahara? By exploring these alternatives, you develop a much stronger sense of why the actual outcome was not inevitable. It was the result of specific choices, specific pressures. Third, pattern recognition. Once you've learned a historical pattern from Japan, use AI to find the same pattern in another era or another part of the world. Train your brain to recognize the structure beneath the surface of events. So, who is this channel for? 5 groups of people, spread across the globe. First, Japanese culture enthusiasts. If you love anime, manga, martial arts, Japanese design, Japanese cuisine, and you want to understand the history that shaped all of it, this channel is for you. The culture makes so much more sense when you understand where it came from. Second, students and researchers. If you're studying Japanese history, East Asian history, or world history at a serious level, this channel gives you the analytical framework you need, not just the facts, but the logic that connects them. Third, foreign residents and business people. If you live in Japan, or work with Japanese companies and partners, deep cultural understanding isn't optional, it's a competitive advantage. History is the key to understanding how Japanese institutions, values, and behaviors actually developed. Fourth, critical thinkers. If you're someone who, in any domain, prefers systems thinking over surface-level information, if you want to understand how things work, not just what happened, this channel is built for you. And fifth, the Nikkei community and root seekers. For Japanese diaspora around the world, second generation, third generation, and for anyone who wants to reconnect with a heritage they may not have had the chance to explore deeply, this is a place to come home to. Whatever brought you here, you belong here. Let me close with the idea that drives everything on this channel. History is not a list of events. It is a system of cause and effect. That's the vision, that's the mission. 100 episodes, every single one asking the same question. Every single one building your ability to see the logic behind events, not just the events themselves. 3 things we commit to, on every episode. 1. 100 complete episodes, a full journey from the very beginning of Japanese civilization to the world we live in today. Not cherry-picked highlights. The whole story. 2. AI integrated learning, because in the age of AI, passive consumption is not enough. Every episode gives you the tools to think actively, question deeply, and extend your learning beyond what you see on screen. 3. Universal patterns, because Japanese history is not just Japanese. It is a lens for understanding how power works, how societies change, how crises emerge and resolve, across all of human experience. If that sounds like the kind of learning experience you've been looking for, the subscribe button is right there. Join us. This is why, understanding Japanese history, and our journey begins now.